guys, it's Ash here with WatchMojo, and these are the top 10 anime ruined by terrible 3D.
面白い。それが貴様の真の力か。それでこそ粉砕の死骸がある。
For this list, we're looking at the series and scenes that were butchered by some incredibly abysmal CG animation. What's the ugliest 3D anime you've ever seen? Commiserate in the comments. And if there's another anime list you want to see, go to my Twitter at AshJBo and let me know. Number 10, One Piece 3D Mugiwara Chase. For the series' 11th feature film, Luffy and the Straw Hats set sail all the way into the third dimension. There they traverse through poorly rendered glaciers, off-model characters, and a nauseously dizzying camera on their quest to get Luffy's hat back. Yep, that's the full story, and the visuals don't exactly help it feeling like an utter waste of time. Its attempts at recapturing the charm of the original's aesthetic only succeeds in dropping anchor at the uncanny valley. Instead of enhancing the visuals, most of the characters feel less alive than they did in 2D. It's clear that not even Luffy is supposed to stretch this much. Number 9, Golden Kamuy. This bear definitely looks scary, but for all the wrong reasons. He appears less like an imposing force of nature than a rough draft that someone forgot to finish. There's virtually no detail or texture to the 3D model, which makes calling it a bear at all kind of a stretch. Suffice to say, the lackluster visual robs the scene of any sense of tension whatsoever. It's so bad that watching the characters dodge and counterattack is actually more comical than exciting. If this was the result, it may have been better for everyone had the bear just stayed in hibernation. And don't worry though, the rest of the show is fantastic. Number 8, Golgo 13, The Professional. Nothing turns heads quite like a helicopter calling Mayday. Except the only thing this one crash-landed on was the movie's tone. The ugly monstrosity flies through an even uglier cityscape on its way to completely obliterate any sense of immersion, drama, or gravitas from the scene. Compared to the rest of the film's standout 2D animation, the clunky CGI copter is even more unforgivable. If they'd just taken the time to animate the helicopter properly, it would have easily flown to success. But instead, we're left with a sequence that's abysmal even by 80s standards. Number 7, X-Arm. Where do we even begin? This hopelessly misguided anime adaptation was practically doomed from the start. Most of its production staff hadn't ever worked on animation before, and that fact became painfully clear when it began to air.
お前の機械嫌いにも困ったものだ。けど料理は上手だよな。
The fight scenes, if you can even call them that, are pitifully rendered with absolutely no sense of weight or movement. The choreography is decent, but it's still hard to enjoy it when the actual animation feels like it's trying to melt your eyeballs. Impressively, the unpolished models look rough even when they're not in motion. At least the production committee can boast that they made the anime look as robotic as its main character. Number 6, Attack on Titan. The first season of this post-apocalyptic series adapted its titular villains with beautifully realized 2D animation. It brought an integral sense of scale to their warpath, which is why it was so noticeable when future seasons defaulted to 3D renders instead. This colossal downgrade exchanged their menace for stiff movement and a distinct lack of screen presence. Admittedly, it's not the ugliest CGI to come from an anime, but it's still a far cry from the heights of its earlier seasons. The dramatic life-or-death struggles just didn't look the same. Without that bombastic scope, some titans fell with a whimper. Number 5, Overlord. Intentional or not, it's pretty hilarious that Ainz asks for applause at the end of this scene. It's like the animators knew that no one was going to praise it, so they had to do it themselves. In Ainz's defense, it's supposed to be a really cool moment displaying his overwhelming strength. He uses the bodies of the enemy forces to summon, well, whatever the hell these creatures are supposed to be. The eye-rolling CGI makes their rampage resemble a parody of a cringy disaster film. But at least those are so bad they're good. This is just plain bad. A real blemish on an excellent series. Number 4, Kingdom. The word brutal applies to both this series' narrative and its visuals. The grim tale of war and conquest consistently shifted between 3D and traditional animation. The 2D segments looked great, but the story's hyper-sprawls were bafflingly diminished to cheap CG cutscenes. Nothing hurts more than a show consistently reminding audiences of what could have been. Thankfully, this folktale has a happy ending. After 2 seasons of painfully inconsistent animation, a change in production companies left the CGI scenes in the dust. The series went full-on 2D, and the uptick in quality was impossible to ignore. Number 3, Arifureta, From Commonplace to World's Strongest. At a certain point, this anime feels like an elaborate joke that just got way out of hand. The 2D animation is sometimes kind of a slideshow. But even that's better than the downright laughable excuse of CGI. The debris, textures, and machinery don't organically interact with the rest of the 2D world at all. It lacks the barest shred of visual fidelity, to the point the whole thing feels woefully unfinished. Don't even get us started on the monsters. If the goal was to make them look so hideous you never want to look at them, then this was a complete success. Number 2, Fate Stay Night. When Shiro decided to transfer his magical circuit to the wounded saber, it's presented as a quasi-romantic scene.
Anfang seien sie, der Gungen mit ihrem Ursprung, mein Arbeit.
At least until the dragon shows up. Nope, you haven't accidentally clicked on a video game walkthrough. This is actually what the dragon looks like. Although that's offensive to all the 3D games that look leagues better than this. There's absolutely no effort made to blend the CG textures with the show's visual style, and the results are almost laughable. Instead of sensual desire, the only sensation this scene conjures is nausea. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, Berserk. If Guts is really out for revenge, he should point his sword at whoever thought adapting Kentaro Miura's masterpiece with CGI was a good idea. But shamefully, not even a beloved classic like this was saved from the clutches of poor 3D. The proportions are horrendous, the fights are wooden, and there's a general sense of jank to even the tiniest movements. When the manga has more kinetic movements than the anime adaptation, you know you've done something horribly wrong. It's not just ugly, it also fails to translate some of the series' best moments to the screen. Berserk deserved much, much better. Did Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.